Once upon a time, there was a little girl happily playing in the street all by herself. Suddenly, she realized she couldn't find anyone around. Calling out for her mom and dad, she received no response. Then the ground shook beneath her, and a loud explosion echoed from a distance. Meanwhile, in another part of the story, there were contestants getting ready for a special TV show. Among them were John, a brave explorer who believed humans could adapt to anything. Sarah, a nurse, was confident she would win. Emma, a therapist, was feeling prepared. Scott, a speaker, believed in the power of positive thoughts. Christoph, an engineer, trusted in technology. Carol, a plant expert, believed in the Earth's help. Standing before the group of 8 contestants, Amelia, the show's host, explained the rules. The competition was all about survival on a remote island. The last person to give up would be the winner. Contestants could leave by using a radio or reaching an extraction point. They'd be dropped off at different places on the island, and the games would soon begin. Sarah struggles to ignite a fire and confesses to the camera how challenging it is compared to what's portrayed on TV. Christoph, equipped with axes, ventures into the forest near a lake, while John shares his contentment with finding a safe resting spot away from danger. Meanwhile, a mysterious spaceship hovers above Earth, releasing a lander that crashes on the ground, revealing 2 human-like figures beside an unusual machine. Back on the island, Liam surveys the landscape from a hilltop with his bow and arrow. Christoph gathers branches for an undisclosed purpose, and Emma marvels at the lush greenery surrounding her. Karen, however, finds herself overwhelmed by the dense forest and shares her feelings with the camera. On the other hand, one of the aliens explores a desolate wasteland, eerily devoid of life. Christoph proudly discusses his choice of an axe as his survival item, while Scott admires the breathtaking scenery and enthusiastically shouts into the distance. Amidst this, Paul wears a contemplative expression before abruptly tossing his radio into the ocean. Liam dashes through the forest as if in pursuit of something, his movements resembling that of a hunter. Meanwhile, Carol strolls along and discovers some flowers. But as she leaves, they flicker strangely, almost like a glitch in a simulation. On the other hand, the alien observes a desolate cityscape devoid of any signs of life, suggesting a past war or catastrophe. As night falls, Emma utilizes a plastic cloth she brought as her survival item to sleep. Liam successfully builds a fire and prepares a makeshift stake from a thick branch. The following morning, Scott engages in meditation on the beach, expressing gratitude for nature's wonders before taking a refreshing swim. In a surprising turn of events, Paul smashes his camera against a rock and then walks away, only for it to vanish, much like the glitching flowers. Sarah, waking up groggy, proudly shows the camera her successful fire and makeshift sleeping area. She then shares her dinner of snail stew before a tragic accident occurs. While traversing rocks, Sarah slips and falls, sustaining serious injuries. Despite her medical expertise, she realizes her leg is broken and attempts to use the radio to quit the competition, only to suddenly glitch out and lie motionless. Sarah's journey comes to a tragic end as she succumbs to her injuries. Scott, focused on making a net to catch fish, notices Liam approaching. Despite Scott's attempt to greet him, Liam brandishes an arrow, signaling hostile intentions. Scott flees into the forest as Liam gives chase, narrowly avoiding being shot. Finding a hiding spot, Scott remains concealed as Liam passes by, unaware of his presence. Meanwhile, Christoph informs the camera of his successful construction of a raft to aid in fishing. Carol, also on camera, encounters Paul, who has started a fire for cooking. Abruptly, Paul pulls Carol aside, warning her of an impending threat and urging her to hide. Startled, Carol inquires about the danger, but Paul remains focused on hiding from whatever is approaching. Suddenly, Paul swings a large stick, accidentally striking Scott. Concerned, Carol checks on Scott's well-being, but Paul's attention is fixed on the pursuit of Liam. After Scott reassures them that Liam has been lost, Paul insists they leave immediately for safety reasons, withholding the true cause of his urgency. Emma, driven by hunger, eagerly approaches another contestant, only to discover Sarah's lifeless body and her abandoned camera. Terrified, Emma flees and seeks refuge under a tree as night falls. Meanwhile, Carol questions Scott about Liam's motives for chasing him, but Scott brushes off her suspicions, believing murder wouldn't happen on live TV. They share laughter, reminiscing about their past, but Carol's night takes a strange turn when she wakes up in a surreal white room, only to realize it was a dream as she's still in the woods. Scott returns with firewood, but Carol is still shaken by her dream. Their peace is shattered by Paul's urgent warnings to run. Confused, they demand an explanation until an arrow narrowly misses them, prompting them to flee into the woods. Liam, armed with his bow and arrow, pursues them relentlessly. They stumble down a hill but manage to escape and encounter Christoph. Desperate for answers, they demand Paul explain, and he reveals Liam's dangerous nature. As they contemplate their next move, Christoph suggests radioing for help, but Paul insists against it. Urging them to seek higher ground, Paul leads the group up the hill, their fear and confusion mounting with each step. Frustrated by losing track of the group, Liam's anger simmers as Christoph persists in wanting to call for help, despite the others suspecting it's just a ploy for the show's entertainment. As they venture deeper into the forest, they discover Emma sitting on the ground, inconsolably crying with someone else's backpack beside her. Confused, they inquire about the backpack, but Emma is as baffled as they are. Carol soothes her while Scott examines footage of Sarah on the camera. Christoph attempts to use the radio for help, but Emma stops him, fearing repercussions. Scott confirms her fears as he shows them the footage of Sarah glitching out after pressing the radio button. Meanwhile, John discovers spring water and intends to boil it using his canteen. Unbeknownst to him, Liam lurks nearby in the trees. Carol awakens to find the group sleeping in a line. As she wanders the forest, she sits beside some beautiful leaves and speaks to the plants. Suddenly, Liam appears but seems strangely calm this time. He identifies himself as the Purge and expresses a desire for truth, claiming he has no intention to harm Carol or anyone else. Liam is merely signaling others, believing they could have aided instead of resorting to violence. However, he remains tight-lipped about their identity. Walking with Carol back to the campsite, Paul suddenly ambushes Liam with a knife to his neck. Despite Liam breaking free, the group joins forces to subdue him. In the struggle, Carol is knocked unconscious. When Carol regains consciousness, she finds herself in a dark room holding an orb. Venturing outside, she discovers a mysterious chamber filled with scans and eventually stumbles upon a recording of a ship captain discussing memory wipes and humanity's ruinous impact on the world. Meanwhile, the group carries Carol on a stretcher along a path. Confused and disoriented, Carol joins them until they stumble upon John, impaled on a wooden stake. Despite the grim discovery, they continue their journey in the rain. Paul ventures out to search for food, and Carol accompanies him. Liam regains consciousness in a ditch, feeling injured but managing to climb out. Carol confronts Paul, demanding answers about the true nature of their situation. Despite his initial reluctance, Paul is taken aback when Carol mentions her dreams, indicating she recalls the truth. Reluctantly, Paul divulges the shocking truth. They are part of a selection process by aliens. Earth has succumbed to nuclear wars and they are among the chosen few to save humanity. Elsewhere, Paul, once a radio astronomer, had detected the alien signal first. He reveals that the island they perceive is not real, but a projection into their minds while their bodies remain aboard the alien ship. Carol awakens again on the ship, this time accompanied by the alien being. She questions its identity, but it merely identifies itself as a collector and confiscates her orb. Suddenly, Carol finds herself transported into a white room, where the being reveals the events that led to Earth's demise. When Carol wakes up, she finds herself with her friends by a fire. She asks for Paul, who has told them all about something strange, but they don't believe him. Christoph is tired of it, but Emma tries to understand it with her skills. Everyone stays quiet until Christoph stands up, and they all start asking Paul about his story of aliens. Paul explains that aliens can sense special things, and humans can access them. Paul and Liam figured out how to trick these special things, but Paul still doesn't know why Carol can move between different places like that. In the morning, Christoph yells to warn them about Liam. Suddenly, Liam charges at them with a sharp stick, chasing them into the forest. Carol panics, looking for Paul, who grabs her and hides them in the bushes. He tells her to go to the top of the mountain to find help. He also tells her he promised to keep her safe and reveals that he's actually her husband. Later, they find themselves in an open field, but Liam attacks Christoph, causing the others to run away in fear. Paul rushes in and shoots Liam with an arrow, but Liam removes it, furious about losing his brother to the aliens. He now seeks to sabotage the alien ship. Paul believes it's too late for humans to save Earth, leading to a heated confrontation between them. The rest of the group flees to reach the extraction point while Liam and Paul fight. In the end, Liam emerges victorious and threatens to plant a bomb on the ship before killing Paul. As the group runs through the forest, Liam follows closely behind. Emma trips and falls, but insists on hiding rather than being carried. Scott tries to persuade her otherwise, but Liam catches up. Finding Emma, Liam interrogates her about the others. Sensing an opportunity, Emma leads Liam into a trap, allowing Scott to disarm him. Liam takes Emma hostage, demanding she use the radio to sacrifice herself. Scott, staying behind with Liam, witnesses Emma's sacrifice and begins to believe Paul's story. Liam reveals that the extraction point is a lie concocted by Paul to save his wife Carol. Meanwhile, Carol races to the extraction point. Liam confesses the human greed that led to Earth's destruction, expressing a desire to die on his own terms. He implores Scott to end his life, and Scott reluctantly complies, stabbing Liam with a wooden stake and then using the radio on himself. As Carol reaches the hilltop, a sphere appears before her. She touches it and is transported onto the ship, where an alien guides her to join other selected individuals. Together, they watch as the ship takes off, carrying them toward a new beginning. And with this, the movie comes to close. Thanks for tuning in.